Hello, I am Hamden District Attorney Anthony Gallouni. My office's Youth Advisory Board is tasked with keeping me and my staff educated on emerging issues and challenges facing young people. This video offers insight and advice on vaping and marijuana use from members of the Youth Advisory Board. Adults may be unaware or misinformed about these issues, particularly regarding how prevalent it is among our youth.
Hi, my name is Elena Pitasso, and I'm a member of the Youth Advisory Board. The video you are about to watch contains the opinions and perceptions of the Youth Advisory Board and do not necessarily hold true for every school. These are observations of what we have seen transpire in our schools and what we perceive is being done about these issues. It is safe to assume that vaping and marijuana use appears to be more prevalent in our schools, more than ever, and it is a problem that needs to be reevaluated. New steps need to be taken to ensure our youth's education is not hindered by the lure of substances that can have a negative effect on our health and well-being. We hope this video offers insight and awareness of what we see on a daily basis and how it affects us. At the very least, we hope it encourages schools to take a closer look at their current policy around these issues to see if there's something more they can do around education and awareness.
I wish that substance use among teens wasn't the social norm.
I wish whenever I had to go to the bathroom, I did not get a whiff of smoke in my face.
I wish my peers didn't think that vaping made them look cool.
I wish my peers didn't get distracted in class due to their nicotine addictions.
I wish school bathrooms didn't smell like marijuana.
I wish youth would understand the consequences of vaping at a young age.
I wish the youth truly understood the consequences of smoking marijuana.
I think the biggest problem is the fact that nobody thinks it's a problem.
Something that I've observed a lot in my school is seeing people juuling in the bathrooms. I've seen that it's a significant amount of people and it's a big problem.
I mean, I've had friends that they just start with a Juul at a party and then they're like, oh, this is kind of cool, how about I buy one? And then now it's in their car, now they're using it constantly, now they gotta bring it into school with them, and now they're literally just stuck with it all day.
Also, another concern that I have is how normal it's been found in our schools that if you don't do it, there's something wrong, or that you just don't fit into the population or to the culture of a school anymore. It's not really about your academics or your school rank. It's, do you do this? Do you smoke? Do you drink?
A lot of the times I'll walk into the bathroom and I'll see a group of people together in the stalls and everyone knows what they're doing, but nobody ever points it out because it's become so normal.
And then even when they leave, you can smell it.
You can smell it, yeah.
You can smell all they've done in the locker room, all they've done in the bathroom is just constantly drool.
And I feel like most of the time when I go to the bathroom in school, there's a group of 3 girls in the big stall or something. And it's just everybody knows what you're doing in there. It's almost funny to other people.
Yeah.
And my school in particular, we've gotten to the point where there were so many guys in there that there'd be 15, 20 guys in the bathroom drooling. And then that just turns into vandalism and then just them wrecking the entire place. So now we have bathroom monitors.
I feel at my school, once people start to vape, that kind of just takes over their life. They put their education last and put their craving for nicotine above everything else, including friendships and family. And I feel that it's really taking away from the experiences that they should be having as a teenager because they're so focused on getting what they think they need and not focusing on what they actually need.
I know the legal age has changed for buying vapes and Juuls, but there are certain kids who have been well, I was grandfathered in or something, so even though they're 18 or 19, they can still buy it.
And that's a big problem in my school because we have grades 6 through 12. And when these 6th graders are seeing these seniors, they look up to them and they aren't always the best role models. and they're doing they're vaping in school, and that causes them to do it, and they're going to be keeping to influence younger grades to do the same.
And then on the outside of school spectrum, you have kids who will meet up at a bus stop and dealings will happen, and kids who are as young as 6th graders and 7th graders and high schoolers as well, they'll be buying Juuls and different pens and stuff from kids who are high schoolers, and they're just taking advantage of their naiveness.
Especially since it's newer, specifically with vaping, we haven't seen the worst health risks and everything like we have with smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And so people don't realize.
The brain of an adolescent or a young adult all the way up until the age of 25 and beyond is still developing. This is the most critical time in brain development in our lives. It is extremely critical that young people understand that the brain is our most precious resource, and that the earlier that they're exposed to substances, the more likely it is that is to create harm.
Although vaping isn't a huge problem in my school, we do deal with a lot of marijuana use, which is not good for anyone because we're going to the bathroom, we're smelling it, and we come out smelling like marijuana. So teachers think it's us, or we go home and our parents think we're using it, when in reality, it's the other students in our school.
Another thing about the products themselves, these products can dispense marijuana themselves as well. So I'm thinking maybe also if that is made clear to school administrators, maybe they'll be able to take it even more seriously.
Sometimes walking in a classroom, the smell is so strong, and it's just we gotta stop the lesson because it's great, you smell like that. You don't want to out them, but then it's kind of you're blocking everybody else from learning because of the smell.
And some kids at my school have turned around and made a profit off of others through selling drugs illegally on our school campus.
I wish there was a protocol for teachers to deal with substance use.
I wish that schools were more aware that vaping and drug use are a problem.
I wish that school consequences were more effective.
I wish parents and teachers would encourage students to care more about their health.
So I feel like teachers are kind of oblivious to how many students at our school are really vaping and juuling. And it's a big problem that I feel like they aren't really addressing.
Vaping and using electronic cigarettes or juuling, this is an emerging issue, and one that is rapidly changing, and there's new products coming out, and there's new forms and new lingo and words. And so I think that we are still, in many cases, trying to catch up to this, and we're not on the right side of that curve yet. So there's a lot more education that needs to happen amongst everyone, parents, teachers, community members, in many cases medical providers. If we're going to do the best that we can in terms of preventing potential harms, we need to ensure that we're educating ourselves as best as we can. Oftentimes that means talking to openly and learning about it from youth and from others. And so I would encourage those conversations and to bring them up so that parents know what vaping is, how their kids or other kids may be engaging in that, and then have real conversations about what we know and what we don't know about the effects that can have on their body.
Another thing that I found which concerns me about teachers is that they know the situation, they know it happens, but in order for them to talk about it with their students, they kind of joke around with it, so it's taking an easier route. Instead of having an open conversation and a truthful conversation, they kind of joke about it more.
I feel that teachers in general, when it comes to dealing with certain issues, whether it be vaping or something more severe, when it comes to school discipline and all that, they rather try to catch people doing all the easier, lower things because it's easier for them to catch, and it looks like they're finding a lot of people breaking the rules, even though it's just all the easy stuff, where all the larger stuff just goes completely unnoticed. Vaping is unnoticed, whereas someone is late to class and that's totally noticed.
I see teachers being friends with their students, especially I would say the younger teacher crowd or the new teachers, because they want to be close with their students. But I think it becomes a problem when, they're talking too personal and they get too personal with their students, and they then become their friends. And it's hard because I think students like having a teacher as their friends. teachers aren't somebody that's going to hang out with you. So
I can agree with that. I feel like that teacher-student relationship is really important in order for kids to like be as attentive as possible in class. I know me personally, if I like my teacher, if I get along with my teacher, I definitely am more active and more just motivated to do well and as best as I can. But I feel like if it's to the point where a teacher knows that you're doing something that's harming your health, like juuling or smoking or drug use in general, then that teacher needs to step up and say something. But I feel like that really isn't happening. That conversation isn't happening because kids are afraid that if they go to their teachers, then it'll be bigger consequences and something that they don't really want to happen.
I know there's no real protocol for anything like that if somebody is smoking. So it's like, what can the teachers possibly do if they come across that situation? And because there's no protocol, it leaves us all like at a standstill. Like, do we turn them into the principal? What can the teacher personally do to stop that from happening? And what happens a lot, adults forget how much influence and how much power they have on us teenagers. And that's very hard to like think that, oh no, I can't really do nothing, but like you really can make a change for that. So
Schools seem to not want to deal with the paperwork. It just seems like to me they ignore the students because if it's easier to ignore them than actually deal with the problem.
They're not very specific about the consequences either. They don't go out and say, if you do this, if you vape and you get caught, you get this, this, this. And I've heard of multiple times where my peers get caught vaping and nothing really happens to them. Like the teacher will just send them off to class and tell them not to do it again. Obviously they're going to do it again. I mean, it wasn't their first time vaping if they're doing it in school. And I feel like my school is too lenient with their consequences. Like this is a substance abuse and they should treat it as such, but they just kind of treat it as, oh, it's just one and done, and I feel like they don't really take as much responsibility for it as they should. So I really think that they need to start cracking down more on it.
a lot of kids do drugs in school or outside of school and come to school high, and it's like, it's not fair to them because it's gonna impact them a lot. And it's just like, what's the point of them not getting in trouble? There's no consequence, and everybody wants to like make doing drugs like this big, cool, wow factor, like, oh, you should join me.
And this also goes along with sports teams, where sports coaches, if they see a student who is clearly violating school rules and is smoking in a locker room or something of the like, they will ignore it to have that student still be on the team.
There'll be kids who are in the hallways 5 minutes before class, hitting their jewels and smoking and doing things like that. And then they'll go to class and then ask to go to the bathroom and spend the rest of the time in the bathroom just smoking. Won't tell them to stop or won't stop them from going to the bathroom because they kind of know what's happening.
I wish students didn't feel the need to rely on substances to distract them from reality.
I wish students who see substance use in schools weren't afraid to say something.
I wish students could find a coping mechanism that wasn't so harmful.
Although my school had a mini vaping conference, I feel like it was geared more towards the educators than towards the students, and I really feel like it would make a huge difference in our community to have a vaping presentation just for the students.
What I also recommend is like a coalition that is based around the school, because I know mine has one and it's really helpful because we do get resources in and communicate with the actual school itself because we are an outside school thing, but we help communicate inside with the principals and how to help them get the word out to their students. So, for example, we had a middle school night for the incoming 8th graders, and we gave them packets and resources to the parents explaining the dangers of like vaping and drinking at their age and how it really does affect their mental state and like health.
I think it's really hard to think of suggestions just because it's such a big issue.
Mhm.
And I've like every single school faces like some sort of problem, whether it's kids vaping in the bathroom or using dab pens or marijuana before school.
Mhm.
It's like every single scenario is different, and I just like, I wish there was a way to, make the school obviously for learning and not for distractions.
What schools should do really depends on the biggest issue that they see in their school, because it totally depends town to town. Every school is different. That school just has to figure out what's going to be the best for them.
I feel that in order for administration to take a step towards solving this problem, they should have an open and truthful conversation with their students. They should listen to their students, and if it gets down to like the deep conversations, they shouldn't be afraid of those. They should listen to the students, to all of their students, not just assuming which ones do it and which ones don't.
If I was to give advice to someone that was considering starting to use any of these substances, I would say don't do it, 100%. Even if it's one time just to try it, just to see how it feels, just don't do it. Because not only will you, one, probably get addicted to it, but B, you become so dependent on it that it'll control your entire life. I know a lot of the major reason why I hear people use it is to de-stress, and it's a way to like take their mind off of things, but there are 100% of other ways that you can do that. And so don't get addicted to this, don't use it, and just try to find other ways. Talk to people about how you're feeling.
I think for kids that haven't started, don't fall under peer pressure and don't get yourself involved with something that you literally, your life depends on. For kids that already have started, don't think that your lungs are already ruined or you already have popcorn lungs, so why would I stop now? Take that as, okay, yes, I have this, but I need to move on and I need to change my lifestyle and I need to create healthier and happier habits.
It's harder to stop than it is to start, and so just watch out for yourself, and that's really all I can say.
I feel like schools can improve their effectiveness just by checking their bags, and after that you can do suspension, expulsion, any of the other stuff. We have to protect other students, so if that means you have to go through everyone's bag, then you have to go through everyone's bag.
And really, any little thing helps, whether, you said, checking the bags or making more disciplinary actions, or taking a class period off and having each grade level do a conference or a meeting on the health issues, because a lot of kids really don't know the risks they're taking when they're smoking. It doesn't matter what they're smoking. You're putting this in your body and you don't know anything really about it besides you feel good.
I would say to any youth today that there's a lot of pressures, and there may be urges or impulses to try something new or to go along with maybe what other people are using. But I would want to say is that your brain, your lungs, your heart, your body's your most precious resource. You only get one. And so I would urge you to protect your most vital resources, plan for your future, and understand that it's okay to say no.